got to ask you about the Chargers hire. You like it or you love it, Harbaugh?
Well, I love it because, look, I'm a big believer in team culture, physical and mental toughness, something that the last guru didn't even think. I mean, these guys that just basically look at the analytical sheet, one guy doesn't even think momentum exists in the league. Can you imagine that? He wrote a column that says there's not such thing as momentum. I mean, and Staley, who thinks he did a really good job on defense, did he watch his defense? Did he watch it? Did they ever get higher than 20th overall? So I think what Jim brings to the Chargers is toughness, a culture, mental and physical. He'll be really good for the quarterback. They'll have balance. The team will win close games. They could never win a close game because they didn't have mental or physical toughness to win it. When it got hard, they retreated.
Let me ask you this. This is great topic. I fully believe you have to have full autonomy if you're going to be successful in coaching. High school, college, NFL, of course. Belichick's had it. Pete Carroll's had it. Guys that have won. I think McVay has it for the most part with Snead. But at least he has autonomy on who we like, who we're going to go after. And I know you know this better than anybody. Harbaugh, they hired his brother's guy out of Baltimore to be the new GM. And I think they did it the right way. Am I wrong? By hiring John, they hired Jim first and then go out and get the GM. So that tells me something that at least the Spanoses are saying, okay, we're not only going to break the bank, we're going to give you full autonomy because you know what the hell you're doing, and we're going to let you do it. And that starts with having full autonomy and say. Am I wrong with that? Are the Spanoses finally going to do it right? Because your son's been there. You know the shit show it's been.
The two teams that are in the Super Bowl have full autonomy. I mean, I know, John Lynch is the general manager and he does interviews and all that. Nothing happens in that building unless Kyle says it happens. Nothing happens in Kansas City. I think Brett Veach does a great job, but his job is to serve the coach. What I think the Chargers did is the right thing. Hire the coach and then let him pick the guy that he feels most comfortable working with. Everybody confuses this with whoever I pick is just going to say yes. No, it's not going to say yes. We're going to have a mutual respect to then be able to have a conversation. That's the key. You don't always have to agree. You have to have mutual respect and see the game the same way philosophically. That's the problem. Most people think you're just going to rubber stamp it. Now, some people in some places, and there's a lot of them that have the title of GM and they'll just rubber stamp whatever the coach wants to do. I mean, that's just a fact because that saves their job. Then they can blame the coach later for any mistake that happened. I think it's a good hire. I think the Chargers got it right.
I agree. Vrabel, why is Vrabel why is he kind of a sitting duck, lame duck? I mean, is he kind of his record or what's up with him?
I have no idea. I mean, the guy is one of the best coaches in the league. He holds players accountable. I don't understand it. Again, guard your desk, right? It's about if I bring Vrabel in, am I safe? Like, how do you not even interview Vrabel? Like, how do you not even interview? How do you not even have a conversation with them? How are you?
Well, Mike, are we not in the player empowerment time and era? Like, this is player empowerment.
No. Well, we are by social media, but the actual results of who wins and who loses has nothing to do with it. The four teams in the Final Four, were their organizations player empowerment?
No.
No, of course not. So the only teams you really study are the teams that are in the Final Four. Those are the teams that reach the highest level of the league. If you want player empowerment, if everybody wants to go to Dairy Queen after the game and we'll sing Kumbaya, that's great. You might win 8 games one year. You might win 9, and you'll get the sundae with the cherry on it at Dairy Queen, but you ain't winning anything.
But isn't that what we're seeing roaming the sidelines with the Mike McDaniels and those type of guys? That's why, Fangio's out of there. He wasn't a rah-rah guy. You and I both know that's
I don't think it's so much about rah-rah. I think it's about accountability and it's about how the game should go. I said this when Vic went there, that I would be really surprised if Vic and Mike would be able to see the game philosophically the same way. And people say, well, that's just old school. It's not old school. What wins today won 30 years ago. What's going to win 30 years from now is the same thing. It's not going to change. Accountability, mental and physical toughness, discipline, fundamentals and techniques. Those things don't change. You can't not practice. Look at the Eagles. You could tell they didn't practice half the year. Look at their defense. It kept getting worse. They didn't practice. If
Great
you want to be a champion,
at the end, right? They don't get worse.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a champion, you got to work like a champion. You just can't show up and say, "Okay, here we go."
Yeah. I don't get it. It ain't ever changing, Mike. I don't get what these youngsters see, why it's so different. I'm like, man,
remember, it's the 1-9-90 rule. It goes back to that. Only really, when you go on social media, 90% of the people are reading it, 9% contribute, and really 1% is really the voice. So you're listening to 1% of the voice who have no idea when somebody writes a column that momentum doesn't exist in sports, they've never played sports before. They've never played sports. That's why when you go for it and don't get it on fourth down, you're not understanding that you could pass along momentum to them. Every game, there's a chance for you to break the other team's back and for the other team to get back into the game.